TIFU by asking my 100% F-born girlfriend of 2 years if she'd ever played BopIT. Honestly, the story behind this isn't too exciting, but the accidental punchline had everybody, including my deaf girlfriend, laughing pretty damn hard. Edit. Title typo. It's BopIT. 2 words. One thing I love to do after a long day of work is sitting my butt down in front of my monitor, ripping a joint, and playing Xbox with some friends. Long story short, that's exactly what I did. I got super high, was playing games with my friends when BopIT got brought up in conversation. So, my high ass turns to my girlfriend on the couch next to me and signed, without speaking, "Did you ever play BopIT growing up?" My girlfriend so innocently just signs back, "WTF is that?" Quote. Guys, it took me a good 20 to 30 seconds before I realized what I just asked my 100% F girlfriend of 2 years. The shame I felt. Anyway, I told the boys online. Everyone had a solid laugh, including my hell of a good sport girlfriend. TLD, or I got high while playing video games with friends when BopIT was brought up in convo. Asked my born deaf GF of 2 years if she'd ever played it. Surprisingly enough, no, she had not. And I felt incredibly stupid. I made a similar mistake once with my mom. My mom is missing her left leg after an accident as a child. Anywho, we were getting ready for bed and she asked me if her right foot looked swollen. I responded, "Dunno, let me see your left leg." She looked at me. I guess she saw how serious I was, and she lifted her left leg. I looked mortified. She laughed, and my mom responded, "You forgot I was missing my leg." That made me feel normal for a second. Thanks. Quote. Reminds me of when people assume I'm heading toward a staircase in my wheelchair. My response is usually, "What? Are you trying to kill me?" Tears of joy. They could make BopIT functional for deaf people. Just add different vibrating cues to accompany the different instructions. Not nearly as bad, but every year I ask my friend, of more than a decade, what she's doing for Christmas. And every year she gently reminds me that she is Jewish. I've managed to avoid embarrassing myself around deaf people as far as I know. But every interaction I've ever had with a blind person has resulted in me doing something dumb. Pointing, gesturing, waving. I was helping a guy down the street one time. He was holding my elbow. I made a sharp turn into the building where he wanted to go and completely lost him. As I recall, he joked about me needing to use my turn signals after I retrieved him. It's weird how many things we do completely unconsciously are so dependent on visual cues. This is not at all related to the post, but everyone is sharing stories about the awkwardness that can come up for hearing people around deaf people, and I wanna share lol. My grandfather was profoundly deaf. He lost his hearing in an accident when he was 2, so he didn't even remember being able to hear. One day my mother was outside cleaning the gutters and my grandfather was over. When she'd been up there a while, my grandfather ran outside and told her the phone is ringing. She was waiting for a call, so she panicked and ran inside to answer it. She didn't realize he was fucking with her until she picked up the phone to hear the dial tone. My grandfather had such a great sense of humor, lol. My wife and I know each other for about 4 years. She is lactose intolerant. Every few weeks I benevolently ask her if she wants ice cream, chili cheese nuggets, mozzarella sticks, and so on. There was a blind girl at my high school and one day she asked me to help her find her bag. First question out of my mouth, "Sure, what does it look like?" Quote. I immediately died inside, but she was very sweet and did her best to describe it. Something along the lines of, "Oh, it's purple, I think." Her being so nice just made me feel worse. That's not the worst example though. I was once sitting next to the same girl in the school auditorium. We were both often taking part in the school productions. And another, relatively tall, girl sat in the row in front of her. The tall girl, worried she was blocking our view, turned around and said, "Sorry. Can you still see?" Then realized she was talking to the blind girl. Panicked and said, "Oh no, you can't." Then realized what had just come out of her mouth. Went bright red and turned around. Brutal. She hadn't heard of it. I was about 6 to 8 years old and I fell down over at my deaf grandma's and I was there. Aunt was there. Dad is almost deaf herself now. I fell down and split open my knee. Hurt like hell. I screamed for my grandma 3 to 4 times. I finally got up, ran into the house and signed to my grandma why she didn't come help me up. She was almost like, "Your GF signed to my a fucking idiot, she can't hear." I was in pretty bad pain, almost required stitches, and I started laughing. She looked at my knee, asked me what happened. I signed I was idiot again and fell down. She asked if I hit my head. I was like, "No, why?" She said, "Because I called for her and she is deaf." I used to make your mom jokes to a kid I was friends with in high school whose mom died while we were in high school. 20 years later and we are still great friends. Relevant backstory. Only one of my arms functions. When my husband and I were first dating, he and I were play fighting and he held my good arm behind my back and then said, "Haha, I still have one more to fight with." Then he realized what he had said. I was nowhere near offended and found it funny as hell, and immediately dropped everything and started apologizing. He felt like crap because he didn't know me well enough to know that's my kind of humor. 10 years later I still sometimes say, "At least you still have one good arm, right?" jokingly, and the shame will coming rushing back to his face. It's always good for a laugh for both of us now. Not really a huge mistake, but it's such a habit for me to say, "Nice to see you," and I always say this to my completely blind grandmother. She always responds with, "Nice to feel you," in her most wholesome, warm voice and smile. Ha ha ha. Few too many hits on that number, yay? I'm glad she was a good sport about it. At least you didn't do like that official at the Paralympics. Hang a medal around the neck of a guy with no arms and then reach out to shake his hand. Yikes man, face palming. For those lost, BopIT is a handheld game that speaks to you. It has different levers and knobs with commands like pull it, push it, spin it, and bop it. The point of the game is to follow the commands while it speeds up without making a mistake. I can't smell my partner if 2 years still fucks up and asks if his cooking smells good. Sue, what is BopIT? I tried Googling it, but none of the results are game related. I assume it's an acronym for some long game name. I'm deaf and BopIT came up in the conversation before. What's so weird is that I distinctly remember playing it with my cousins growing up. I mentioned that I recalled that I was relying on vibrations and would switch modes to vibration instead of sound cues when it's my turn. After that conversation, I investigated into it and there wasn't any BopIT with that vibration sound modes. To this day, I don't know if I'm remembering correctly or there is one BopIT out there with a vibration mode. I was working on a project for some blind students. During a planning meeting I asked one of my coworkers, "Hey, you know sign language, right?" Quote, ... Don't worry. It happens to my husband and I too. I'm deaf and he's not. Sometimes when we're grocery shopping, and I wander off, he'll shout my name before realizing I couldn't hear him. Then he'd feel like an idiot for a few seconds before hurrying to catch up to me. We think it hilarious.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.